Hello everyone, I'm Stefan Keyboards and this is the 7th edition of Rules in Perspective. These are my 3 takeaways from episode 42 on democracy for busy people, a discussion I had with Kevin Elliott on my podcast Rules of the Game. If you'd like to listen to the full episode, you can find the link in the show notes. You'll find all editions of Rules in Perspective, both as a video on my YouTube channel and as a bonus episode on my podcast. It is also important to mention that these are my personal comments and opinions and do not necessarily reflect the views of my guests or the organizations they work for. Point 1. It's important to include busy people in democracy. Many people are very busy just to keep things going, to make ends meet, to manage their job and fulfill their financial obligations, and to take care of their family and loved ones. Many people are also in some kind of survival mode, in a hamster wheel, or just in a daily grind that keeps them occupied with all these things seemingly more important than politics. The time and effort required to participate in political processes can be substantial, depending on the political system, while the perceived benefits may appear to be minimal at the individual level. At the same time, many people are disillusioned with democracy, whatever that word may still mean to them. Many people have stopped believing that democracy is achieving the best solutions, that democracy is just and fair and inclusive, and that people have any power at all. And I totally get it. For many around the world, it seems that the term democracy has become kind of an empty slogan. Therefore, it is important to think and discuss how institutions can be amended to make democracy as democratic and inclusive as possible. In what ways can we redesign the rules of the game so that democracy makes even the busy people have actual political power? As Kevin Elliott lays out really well in his book, Democracy for Busy People, it is of utmost importance to make access to democratic processes as effortless and low cost as possible. The most common way for citizens to participate in democracy is still through elections. So voting should be made as simple and easy as possible. The keywords here are automatic voter registration and voting by mail. Available, transparent, and accurate information about politicians, parties, and policies can be realized through the mechanisms of political competition. Because with competition, politicians need to work hard to persuade voters. And I'm not talking about a polarized two-party doom loop here, but rather competition in a multi-party system with easy entry for young new parties and politicians that challenge the incumbent established parties. Then there are other ways of making participating less costly that we have not discussed that much in the episode actually. For me, the direct democratic instruments like petitions, referendums, and ballot initiatives are just a logical continuation of including everyone in the democratic decision-making process. And digital tools are rapidly developing to make those democratic instruments accessible and easy to use, to include more busy people in politics and rebalance political power. Point 2. Political parties and political competition are crucial. The better parliaments represent the people's interests, the more democratic our political systems. And we are terribly far away from a substantive representation in many countries. Important parts of Kevin's book are on the importance of elections and political competitions and parties. First, elections will remain the primary mechanism to elect our parliaments, because elections still make a lot of sense. Secondly, political parties perform numerous roles that are crucial for the effective functioning of a democracy. While many people dislike parties and blame them for dysfunctions in our democracies, the real issue is what is the rule book under which they operate. Since both political competition and parties matter tremendously in how well democracy is functioning, institutions should be constructed in a manner that enhances competition and optimizes the way political parties work. These are the very central rules of the game in our democracies, and those rules have to be the best possible rules. Importantly, we should keep discussing the electoral systems that have such a huge impact on how countries are governed. We should keep questioning how we elect our politicians into parliaments and try to strengthen electoral competition between and within political parties. And just as a metaphor, imagine how quickly a chess game would become dull if we changed the rules. The game is governed by a set of rules called the laws of chess that make the game interesting, fair, and competitive. Even the game and the rules of chess had to be improved and amended from its inception in India in the 6th century until it became this brilliant game that we play today. Point 3. We should dare to fundamentally question our current institutions and think about unconventional propositions and ideas. What I really appreciate about Kevin Elliott's approach to democratic institutions is his willingness to challenge conventional views and propose unorthodox ones. For instance, he questions the practice of holding parliamentary elections only every 4 years and suggests annual elections, drawing inspiration from historical realities. He emphasizes how elections could nicely be embedded in our annual life cycle, in sync with seasonal festivals or holidays. On a yearly basis, people could confirm or eject their representatives. While in the first moment, when I read this proposition, I just thought about how impractical it would be for parliamentary work. But then I tried to see the positive and beautiful aspects of it to keep even busy people in the political life cycle. So I share his openness to discussing solutions that may seem implausible at first glance. Now, some people may object that I do not fully embrace citizens' assemblies as an unorthodox, novel democratic institution that potentially could replace elections. Now, this is true. The reason is that I'm just not convinced that they are an institution that can solve our democratic deficiencies. And as Kevin pointed out, they may not work for busy people at all. I do think, though, that there may be ways of complementing our existing institutions in specific ways with mini publics. And I do think we should discuss them and we should test them in different environments and varieties. In the end, I'm convinced that an optimized and inclusive representative democracy with strong direct and participatory institutions that keep a check on the government and make the citizens the sovereign political power is the promising and viable future for democracy. So to conclude, we should not only send out invitations to busy people to participate in democracy, we should also send out invitations to all citizens to think about and discuss our current political institutions and possible improvements. That's it for the 7th edition of Rules in Perspective. I hope you enjoyed it. New episodes of the Rules of the Game podcast are coming soon. And now I am sending out an invitation to you to send any feedback and suggestions for future guests to rulesofthegame.ddi@gmail.com. As always, I link to related episodes in the description below. I appreciate you've taken the time for Rules in Perspective, and see you next time.